Doye Diri of the People's Democratic Party is the new Bayelsa State Governor after succeeding Seriake Dixon after 8 years in office. And police has placed a 3-day curfew on Yenagua, the Bayelsa State capital, after a series of violence in and around the state and the wake of the declaration of Diri as Bayelsa new governor. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbali at Channels Television's global headquarters here in Lagos. The developing story we're following for you from yesterday right here on Channels Television. The politics of Bayelsa State and the new man at the helm of affairs, Doye Diri, who was former senator, now the governor. The twist in the scheme of things still gets people talking about the issues raised. Doye Diri is the new governor of Bayelsa State, and that gets us talking tonight on the program. Let's get started, shall we, everyone? So, after all said and done, the Chief Justice of Bayelsa State has sworn in Mr. Doye Diri as the governor of Bayelsa State. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress says it will explore legal means to overturn the Supreme Court judgment declaring Mr. Diri as governor of Bayelsa State. APC National Chairman Mr. Adams Oshomale addressed journalists in Abuja today, insisted that the PDP candidate did not secure the required spread of votes in the November 16th, 2019 governorship election in the state. Mr. Oshomale had yesterday said that nobody will be sworn in as the governor of Bayelsa State, insisting that no other candidate apart from the candidate of the APC, David Lyon, had a constitutional spread to be governor of Bayelsa State. Although he said a party-respective judiciary, he maintained that the judgment of the Supreme Court lacks the ingredients of justice, adding that it used technicalities to nullify the wish of the people of the state. Well, in Bayelsa State, some supporters of the All Progressives Congress APC today stormed the government house in Yenagoa to protest the Supreme Court verdict, which sacked Mr. David Lyon as governor-elect. Our correspondent on the ground reports that the protesters in their dozens formed what looks like a barricade with placards bearing different inscriptions. Well, earlier, there was a fire outbreak at a section of the People's Democratic Party Secretariat in Bayelsa State, which immediately was put out. Protesters also attacked the State Broadcasting Corporation, destroying or damaging vehicles, office equipment, and other gadgets. Police has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew in Bayelsa State as we speak, and it will commence 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 3 days. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Uche Anozia, made the announcement earlier today. We're monitoring things for you as they happen. There is a new stream of administration in Bayelsa State. There is a new governor, and his deputy is also being sworn today. Mr. Doye Diri is the new Bayelsa State governor, and that gets us talking. From the underground there, we get reactions live for us from the angle of the PDP. Let's get talking. We have joining us from Abuja studio is an APC chieftain and former chairman of the APC in River State, Mr. Davies Ikanya. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's get the APC side to this matter. How does this come to your party? A rude shock, a surprise, or you move forward?
The Supreme Court judgment yesterday came to us as a very rude shock. It was very shocking. We were prepared to take over Bayelsa and to give Bayelsa a new lead. But suddenly, that hope was dashed. So it was shocking to me as a person. It was shocking to my party. It was shocking to Nigerians. Not many people will expect that that kind of thing will happen at the nick of time, just as at the time it happened. So it was shocking to everybody. It was shocking to us.
We get more reactions. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we get talking. We get reactions from on the ground there in Yanagua, and we get some legal perspective too on the program tonight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation. We see, waiting to hear some reactions live there in Bayelsa State. Of course, there were immediate reaction when the Independent National Electoral Commission gave Mr. Duye Diri the certificate of return earlier today in Abuja, before what we saw earlier today in Yanagua when Mr. Diri was sworn in. Let's get to hear from Mr. Diri, his reaction immediately after it was given the certificate of return. Of course, INEC also spoke at that event. We'll get those sound bites for you in a moment. Let me get back to our Abuja studio with Mr. Davies Ikanya, an APC chieftain and the former chairman of River State APC. You said this was a shock to you. Yesterday, the national chairman of the APC said there may not be anyone to be sworn in today because it's talking about the required numbers and the spread to become a governor in Bayelsa State. Of course, we've seen what has happened today. But in the real sense of it, going forward, if you can hear me, I'm saying this is looking like a scenario that's playing itself out over and over again in River State, your home state, in Zamfara State, and also we're seeing similar thing happening now in Bayelsa State, technical knockout based on legalities. What is really happening with your party?
Well, I think it's a bitter lesson for my party. Like my national party chairman spoke yesterday, he meant that technicalities ought not to truncate the people's wish for who will govern them. But, you know, we have a legal system, we have a Supreme Court that is the last court of the land. And when they make a pronouncement, nobody fights that pronouncement, or it becomes the final pronouncement. But like the national chairman said, he was expecting that having disqualified the deputy governorship candidate of the APC and nullifying the candidature of APC in that election, that the Supreme Court would have nullified the entire election and called for a by-election. But that was not the case. In the wisdom of the Supreme Court, they decided to award the governorship to the PDP candidate. That was bad enough for us. And I think I stand by what the national chairman said, that our legal team will take a look at the entire thing and see what windows we could explore. But it's a lesson for my party. It's a lesson to say that we just have to cross-check our candidates. We must do our internal work within the party before we present candidates, so that we minimize cases of technical knockouts like this.
Let's get some legal reactions to this. Of course, don't forget, we're being some reaction from Yanagua, from the PDP point of view. Let's get some legal perspective to this. Mr. Jimmy Abia, a lawyer, joins us via phone from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Abia. What can you make of what we're seeing so far? Imo State, now Bayelsa State, and their reactions. And each time this has happened, the political parties involved will say, we're going back to the Supreme Court to seek redress and to ask for a reversal of the Supreme Court judgment. In both cases, Imo and now in Bayelsa State, they are a unanimous judgment of the 5 judges that sat on these cases. What do you make of what has happened?
Well, good evening. Good evening. My pleasure being with you. What has happened in the Bayelsa is not similar to what happened in Kogi, except to the extent that persons who were initially in the case of Bielsa, you can see that there was a clear pronouncement on the issue of 1/4 of the 2/3 of the constituency of the local government within the state. In the case of Imo, and that is a part of the issue that, legal opinions, people have voiced out about the issue of Imo. On the case of Imo, there was no pronouncement on the issue, on that very fundamental constitutional question about 1/4, that is the quarter of the vote cast into thought of the local government in the state. There was no pronouncement on that at all. And then also, you will see that in the case of Bielsa, it's further on the issue of qualification of the candidate. Now, the issue is that these candidates reported documents that had inconsistency. Now, this inconsistency, and then also allegation of injury and the allegation of forgery, that also was raised. So, they think deprive the candidate, the deputy governorship candidate, of qualification to be on that ticket. And automatically, you know that the governorship candidate and the deputy governorship candidate run on the same ticket. So what it means is that if the deputy governorship candidate is not validly elected, if is not validly nominated, the governorship candidate can also, not be deemed to have been validly nominated because they have to run on the same ticket.
I mean, one of the major issues being raised here, especially if you consider what the national chairman of APC, Adams Oshiomhole, he was giving reference to, in fact, what happened in Bauchi State in 1999, how the fate of a running mate will affect the entire ticket and the chances of a party and jeopardize the mandates that has been given to such a party at a polls. In terms of our jurisprudence on election, is there any need for a review, or what do you think exactly is happening?
I think there's a need for review. Because I do not think in our country that the position of the deputy governorship candidate should affect, the person, the governorship candidate. But again, don't forget that this is the current position of the law. So until that position is changed, until that position is altered, the position remains that whatever affects the deputy governorship candidate in terms of his qualifications to run to stand as a candidate also affects the governorship candidate and vice versa.
It's interesting. So, I mean, going forward now, just briefly, if you can tell us this, the opportunities, or well, let's say the chances of PDP in Imo on one hand, and the chances of APC in the case of Bielsa State, what are the possibilities, the probability of any of these parties getting a reversal in front of the Supreme Court judges when it gets onto their tables?
I think the case of Imo is very clear. On several grounds, I don't know if time will permit us, but there are several grounds, numerous grounds, upon which one of them is even the question of whether the decision in which a one-seat case should affect the final decision of the court in this later Ogatin matter. And the Supreme Court stated that they were not the same party. I asked the question, really? But INEC was on that first case. How would you say that they were not the same party when INEC that ought to comply with the judgment was also in the first case as in the second case? So the case of Imo is entirely different from that of Bielsa. I think in order to redeem the image of the judiciary, both locally and internationally, the case of Imo requires a review, and it actually should be a case that should be looked into a second time.
Okay.
For the case of Bielsa, of course, the party, APC and this candidate also have that room to approach the Supreme
Okay, Mr. Abia, I must sincerely thank you for your thoughts there. I mean, we'll see what these political parties will do in the coming days. Let's get a final word from Mr. Ikanya on what do you think it is for the APC now going forward. Just in 30 seconds, your final word on this and the lessons from learned by your party.
Thank you very much. But first and foremost, let me say that with due respect to the barrister that just spoke, the case of Imo is even a clearer one. The case of Imo was not on technicality. It was on the votes that were legally cast but were omitted from the counting. So that was very, very clear. This one in Bayelsa is a case of technicality. Somebody was adjudged not qualified, and therefore it affected the entire election. But having said that, I think that the political parties, my party and every other political party, we should try as much as possible to do some sanitation in our houses before we present people for election, so that we don't have unnecessary headache of having to go to Supreme Court, talking about technicalities and all this, so that we can be saved this problem. You can imagine the shock that all of us...
Yeah, Mr. Ikanya, we must leave it at that because we are totally out of time. Former APC chairman in River State and an APC chieftain, Mr. Davies Ikanya, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. Unfortunately, we could not bring you live our guest from the Yanagua end of on the program tonight due to some of the logistics issue experienced over there and the curfew that we understand now is in place. But that's how we draw the curtain of the program tonight. Many thanks for watching, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful Valentine evening.